I hit recorded drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets.
Oh, hey, man. Good evening. Hey, check this out, man. My man Lamar Falk just hooked us up with this new open for TFG Sports. Man, that got me hyped. How's everybody doing this Tuesday evening? This is your sports guy, Kendrick Henderson with TFG Sports, and you watching one of the best 30-minute sports shows on social media. Glad to be here. Terrific Tuesday. Nice weather today in the DF Dub. Got a nice little breeze going, sunshine. So put you in a pretty good mood. Then I got this new open, got me hyped. So I'm ready to talk some sports tonight. I got a guest coming. I'm not gonna say who it is. Got a guest. He'll be here, but I'm gonna rock it until he gets here. But before we get started in the show, come on in here and comment. I wanted somebody to speak to me, say hello. Tell me how your day going. Tell me what your Wednesday's gonna be looking like. It's almost hump day, so come on in, comment. Make sure you like and subscribe to TFG Media and TFG Sports Media on YouTube, and leave a comment. I want to know how your day going. Also, feel free to give us a super chat if you like what you hear. You know, if the spirit moves you, we'll take it. So, man, I tell you what, this is Tuesday evening. I'm glad to be here. We got a lot going on in sports. You know, it's all types of things that's always happening. And we're in the second week of the NFL football season. We had Monday Night Football last night. The Packers and the Lions. Everybody know I'm a cheesehead. Packers, it looked a little shaky. They came out that second half and they got it done. They defeated the Lions 35-17. So the Packers are 1-1. Lions are 0-2 in the NFC North. So that's where we are. But we're going to jump into some other recaps. Let's go ahead and jump into some of the NFL games from week 2. And I know, I can hear you all already saying it. Y'all already know who I'm going to start with. I know where my bread is buttered. We're going to start off with them Dallas Cowboys and those LA Chargers. Now, the Cowboys is going into this game at 0-1 after losing a heartbreaker to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Chargers is 1-0 after defeating the Washington football team the prior week 20-16. So I know that most people probably picked the Chargers to win because I know I did. Hey, what's going on, Britannica? Thanks for joining me, big sis. I'm glad you're here. I know most of us picked the Chargers. And I'm not a Cowboys hater. Let me say that first of all. I call football games like I see it. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the Packers, but I'm not some fanatic that is always talking down on other people's teams and not being objective. So Cowboys was traveling to the Chargers. I'll be honest with you. I picked the Chargers. I didn't think the Cowboys would have a chance. Missing 5 guys. They were missing Lyle Collins, suspended for 5 games. They was missing wide receiver Michael Gallup. They were missing Randy Gregory, COVID-19 protocol. They were missing DeMarcus Lawrence. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks with a broken foot. And they were missing their starting safety, Donovan Wilson. So that was 5 important pieces to their team that they were missing. Well, you know what these Cowboys did? They did what they normally do. They surprised us, and they actually played a pretty solid game. Cowboys ended up winning this game 20-17 on a 56-yard field goal by Greg Zuerlein with time expired. The thing that impressed me, the Cowboys came out and they had a 15-play drive, took up 7 minutes. They scored on their first drive. That was the first Cowboys touchdown that they've scored on their opening drive in 21 games. First time in 21 games that they scored a touchdown on their opening drive. And that kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. Now, granted, you know, they had some hiccups along the way. And the Chargers had a whole bunch of them. Matter of fact, the Chargers had one of their hiccups was 12 penalties for 99 yards. You're probably not going to win many games with that many penalties. Quarterback Dak Prescott, coming off a 406-yard game against the Buccaneers, he didn't throw as much. And I said that from the beginning. I thought the Cowboys needed to balance their offense a little bit more. They needed to depend on their run game and not lean so much on Dak. Dak was 23 for 27 for 237 yards. Didn't have any touchdowns and one interception. But the key to this game was the Cowboys' rushing attack. They rushed for 198 yards. Tony Pollard had 13 carries for 109 yards and a touchdown. And Ezekiel Elliott had 16 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. Now, people going to be talking about it. I've heard it already. Oh, I think Tony Pollard should be the guy. You know what? I think what they got, the rhythm that they got, this 1-2 punch right now, I think that's how it should be. You know, keep giving it to the guy that's hot. If you notice, Tony Pollard was kind of the hot guy. Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, kept giving it to him. So he made it. He called a good game. So I thought offensively the Cowboys played well. And before I go any further, man, guess who's joined us? I told y'all we had a special guest. I told you this is Kennard Stewart with Vernon Speaks Sports. We're on his YouTube channel. He's all Auburn Tigers, the SEC, and the kicker is this is my family. This is my cousin. What's up, Kennard? How you doing, cuz? Glad you could join me. How you doing this evening, brother?
Man, I'm doing great tonight, man. Looking forward to talking a little sports with on the channel, and big shout out to what you got going on here. Very excited about where you're headed, and for all the college football fans out there, War Eagle.
I knew I was gonna get that. I knew the War Eagle was coming. But we're gonna get to the SEC and we're gonna get to that Auburn and Penn State game.
Okay.
But we're going over the NFL real quick. Talking about the Cowboys win 20-17 over the Chargers. Did you watch the game, Kennard?
I'm not really a big football watcher. For one, the players bounce around too much. Mm-hmm. It's not like how it was when we were a little younger, where we knew that Jerry Rice was going to be with the 49ers. We knew, how the players were going to be. But from what I've seen so far, I'm really thankful that the Cowboys are kind of halfway back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, right. I got you.
I've been getting sick of their fans. Every year they're back, and then it's just a straight travesty. I see Tampa Bay is still doing what they do. I mean, if you look at it, I really don't know who are the top dogs, but it looks like Tampa Bay, the Dallas Cowboys. Baltimore actually got a nice win over
Kansas City. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, they did. Yeah,
I think it's going to be some shakeups in the NFL, and let's look for this mid-October, early November to see how this thing turns out.
Well, I agree with that. Well, the Cowboys, they 1-1 now, and this helps them because they're tied with Philly at 1-1, and the Washington football team. They all are 1-1. It would have been. I think it would have been difficult if they would have went down 0-2. But they in the NFC East. That division is kind of it's not bad, but it ain't great. So they wouldn't have been out of it. Now the Kansas City Baltimore Ravens game. That was a great. I don't know if you saw that, but Lamar Jackson put on a show at the end. He ended up. Let me tell you this, Kennard. Lamar Jackson ended up running. He passed for. He ended up running for 106 yards, and he passed for 239 yards. Lamar Jackson has had 9 career 100-yard rushing games, tied with Michael Vick for most by quarterback in NFL history. What you think about this Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes? Now it's kind of they trying to make this like the Peyton Manning versus the Tom Brady rivalry. What you think about those guys?
So what I saw from this is Lamar Jackson, from all the captions and all the Twitter feeds that I saw, Lamar Jackson was determined to win this game. Mm-hmm. He said, look, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to win this particular football game. It kind of reminds me of, say, Joe Montana versus Brett Favre back in the day, some of those different rivals. And I think this is a huge win for the Baltimore Ravens over the Kansas City Chiefs to get themselves in a position to where not only confidence-wise, they will, play well down the stretch. I haven't looked at the schedule. I think they probably have a gauntlet down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But to win against a very viable Kansas City Chiefs football team, especially the way they won
Right.
in a very heroic fashion. So
Right.
big shout out to Lamar Jackson in basically saying, look, I'm going to put this team on my shoulders, and we're going to win this GD football game.
Yeah, he did. And with his head coach having that confidence in him to go for it on that fourth, I believe it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and that sealed the deal. So he said, he said, you want to do it? Lamar said, yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah. So that was great. So they won that game. That was, he was 0-3 versus Patrick Mahomes. So he got that monkey off his back. So now, like you say, that's going to give them confidence on down the road. So that puts both those teams at 1-1, I believe. So we'll see what happens down the road. All right, we're getting ready to get to the SEC conference. But we're going to talk about this Auburn Penn State game, which I watched, which I thought outside of the Alabama-Florida game, Penn State and Auburn was the best game on college football Saturday. With you being the voice of Auburn Tigers family, I want you to tell me what you thought about the Auburn Penn State game.
I for one, I really appreciated the fact that game represented the fact that college football is back. The stadium was packed. You had the whiteout game. You had the fans just all over the place, just doing their thing. And it was a brilliant atmosphere for any college football team coming into that stadium. I want to tip my hat off to the Penn State Lions because that was a hell of an atmosphere for one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I thought that both football teams put what they had on the table, and they put it on the table in an interesting way. Both teams had, it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And towards the end, Auburn had a chance to win that football game, and it just didn't work out for them. Of course, you have the fan bases that would say that Penn State is this elite team, and then you get on the other end, you talk about Auburn, hey, the season is over. No, it's not. This is a non-conference football game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a well-fought game, and it's early in the season. You really, especially for a brand new head coach with Brian Harsin at Auburn, you really don't know what you got to about game 4, which is coming up next week. And then Auburn has the SEC matchup against LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's something that has to happen, though.
What's up, Charles? Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Bo Nix from Auburn, he didn't do bad. He didn't lose the game for him, but he didn't win it for him either.
Right.
4.7 yards per pass has to change to about 7.6 or somewhere around there for Auburn to have a chance down the stretch. But as far as a great rating football game, I thought Auburn, Penn State, I thought Alabama versus Florida, you just can't get any better than that.
Yeah, it was both of them. Like you said, I couldn't get away from the television, especially that Penn State Auburn game, especially when it got down there to the end, because I thought Auburn was going to find a way to pull that out. But I agree with you. I think Bo Nix is going to have to do a little better in the pass department. Now, the unfortunate thing, Auburn lost their 10th straight road game to a top 10 team since 2014. So
now here's the kicker. What a lot of people don't know is it's even worse than that.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Auburn has not beaten Georgia on the road since 2005.
Wow.
I can't remember the last time Auburn beat Alabama on the road, which is, they're usually a top 10 team as well.
Right, right.
For sure. Obviously.
Yeah.
Auburn has not beaten LSU on the road since I was in college back in 1999. So,
oh wow, you're right. It is worse than that. Oh my. Okay.
So trajectories have to change. I think Brian Harsin and his staff obviously missed an opportunity to kind of change some narratives, but at the same time, this is a new coaching staff. You're taking a team that doesn't really know each other like that on the road in a super hostile environment. Now they've been talking in this whiteout at Penn State all week. But my goodness, I didn't know it was going to be like that.
Right,
like that,
right. Yeah, it was white out. Yeah. What's going on, cousin? How you doing, me? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, you're right. I was looking at that atmosphere. It was crazy.
It was crazy. Now
you
take both of those teams in a neutral site. It might have been a different outcome, but that's why I love college football. We don't need no neutral site. Come to the guy's house, and if you beat him, you beat him. If you don't, lick your chops and get ready for next week.
Okay. Before we get out of SEC conference, cuz I gotta get your take on this. Unfortunately, we didn't get to talk about this. I was sick. Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC. I just want to know what's your thoughts. How will they do in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, I think Texas. I think the biggest winner in this is Oklahoma, for sure. I think they have an excellent program. They've continued to be a regular in college football, the college football playoff. And for whatever reason, because of locale and because of their, the way they sit in college football, they can recruit some of the best athletes in the country. As a matter of fact, they get a lot of guys out of Texas. They get a lot of guys out of Louisiana. I think that Oklahoma will be definitely a great fit for the SEC. Now, Texas, on the other hand, they gotta figure something out. For one, I think where they're located, they're still surrounded by TCU. They're still surrounded by Baylor, Texas A&M. So they're in a recruiting battle within the state, within themselves. So I think Texas might be the biggest loser in this because I don't think they will be able to attract the type of, because Texas A&M is already getting guys that want to play in the SEC.
Right.
Texas A&M, Texas, they just can't seem to get it together, even with Texas A&M out of the conference. I think the biggest loser in this is Texas. But here's what I like. I like the idea of the fact that from a locale and geographic standpoint, it makes sense. It makes total sense. There, and you look at the SEC fan base. A lot of alumni of a lot of SEC teams, they're migrating to Texas.
Yeah, so that's true. Yeah,
a huge deal, at least from an entertainment standpoint, for this conference. I think the SEC is really getting a good deal out of this. The only thing that I wonder about is, okay, so you got Oklahoma and Texas, and this brings Auburn back in the conversation because Auburn, locale-wise, probably should be in the SEC East once all of this happens.
Okay.
Looking at a possibility to where Oklahoma and Texas can kind of push Auburn into the SEC East. So we'll see how this happens, how it turns out.
I like your take on that. I hadn't even really thought about the locale part about Texas. Maybe, it may not be a good fit for them, but now that you kind of break it down like that, I could see that. So, we'll see. We will see. Texas can't even win in the Big 12, so they want to go to the SEC. Money grab, Charles Moore, and I agree with that because Arkansas just whooped Texas real good. 2 weeks ago? So yeah, they're getting a taste of the SEC from one of the bottom feeder teams that's not been that great in the SEC for a while. So we'll see how that goes. So all right, Texas, Oklahoma, good luck because you're gonna need it. All right, next one, USC, Kennard, they fired their head coach Clay Helton.
And they should.
Yeah, they fired him 2 days after they lost at home to Stanford. He was under contract through the 2023 season. His buyout was around $12 million. Sources told ESPN's Chris Lowe. Now, Helton went 46-24 as a Trojans coach, including a Rose Bowl. He won the Rose Bowl in 2016. USC was 1-1 under Helton this season. Helton had been with USC since 2010. Now, we're going to get what you think as far as possible replacements. Here's some candidates' names that's been out there. Cincinnati's Luke Fickell, former Oklahoma coach Bob Stoops, Penn State's James Franklin, former Boise State coach Chris Peterson, Kansas City offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, and this is the one that I don't think is going to happen. Jackson State head coach Deion Sanders. Who do you think USC should get to replace Helton?
Well, I'll tell you like this, in a situation where you have a head coach that actually has a winning record and, is fired, here's what usually is the reason why. For number one, they're probably not winning against their rivals. They're probably not programmed to the level as far as a recruiting standpoint that they think the program should be. Because usually if you look at a 46-24 head coach, you're like, why are you firing him?
Right. Yeah.
You're firing him because you don't see based on recruiting, you don't see based on how you compete against your rivals, especially Oregon, who is starting to really push the envelope as being elite in the Pac-12. And they probably see, well, look, I don't think Clay Helton can take us to the point to where we can compete year in and year out against our version of Alabama in the Pac-12, which is Oregon at this point. They've done a great job there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, getting back to the Deion Sanders trajectory here, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because one, I like what Deion Sanders is doing for his black colleges.
Me too.
We're starting to watch him now because of him.
Yep, exactly. Mm-hmm.
We're starting to watch him now. He's pushing the envelope of players having names on the back of their jerseys. He's pushing the envelope for those players having the opportunity at a HBCU like they did in the mid 2000s, having the opportunity to have a place in the NFL. However, you talk about the USC, obviously a blue blood in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you run the risk of the distraction of what Deion Sanders will bring, for one? And for two, Deion Sanders, as much as I like him as a person and what he's been doing, the recruiting game in college football is deadly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I don't think he has the wherewithal, firepower-wise, to make it. First of all, Deion Sanders is, a lot of folks will think that Deion Sanders is dependent on name recognition. Most of these kids now, they look at Deion Sanders the same way I looked at Wilt Chamberlain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
Yeah.
To
where the name recognition doesn't matter. USC needs to go out and get a guy like, say, James Franklin from Penn State, who I think is a very good football coach.
Yeah, that's the hot name. You're right. Mm-hmm.
A lot of folks don't get it, but Penn State, they're like, okay, they don't deserve to be in the top 10 or whatever. But Penn State, the only reason why they're saying that is because most of college football fan base are looking at the flair of the dramatics, like Alabama that can put up 50 points and other teams that can put up 50 points. But Penn State is beating you like how traditionally they're beating you 30-0, but they're beating you in a way to where it is a strategic, it is a formulated game plan. So I think, out of all the candidates that I've seen so far, I was very impressed with how James Franklin coached that football game against Auburn, who I think, as far as Auburn, and I'm not saying this as a homer, I thought Auburn had the better athletes, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree. I thought so too.
But I just think James Franklin he figured it out.
That's what coaching comes in. Yeah, he did figure it out.
So I think if USC is going to roll the dice, I think you got to go with a guy like that, but definitely not Deion Sanders.
Yeah, Charles says Joe Brady, offensive coordinator from Panthers and former LSU coordinator. He said he thinks he's a candidate, and that's fine. But I'm gonna talk about Deion. I think Deion won't. Obviously, I don't think he's already said he wasn't interested. I read on the Spun today that he said he's not interested. And then too, I wouldn't think he would leave his two sons. I just both his boys are there. I don't see him leaving Jackson State because
I think Deion Sanders needs to have like maybe 3 or 4 years where he himself. Okay, so the first year it was all about trying to change the scope of HBCU football.
Yeah.
If he wants to move to the next level, now you got to see how do you coach? How do you recruit?
Yeah.
The uniforms ain't gonna beat nobody.
No, it's not.
It's who's gonna win games. So I think Deion Sanders. I like Deion Sanders.
Oh, I do too. I'm a big fan.
I think if USC hired Deion Sanders, go ahead and dig your own grave. It's not gonna work.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna see what USC does with that. But I'm rooting for Deion said he's saying at Jackson State, and I hope so. So we're
Right.
gonna move on to some high school football real quick.
Okay.
I gotta give this coach some props. Duncanville High School head coach here in the Metroplex, Reginald Samples, notched his 300 win on Friday night, beating 11-6A rival DeSoto 42-21. Now Coach Samples has posted 19 winning seasons in his 25-year coaching career, all in the Dallas Independent School District. Hello
Okay.
there, Candace. And according to Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, Samples is the 13th coach in Texas history to win 300 games. Now, he was hired in 2015 at Duncanville. First season, he went 2-8, but since then, he has gone 61-8. He led the Panthers to 2 state championship games in 2018 and 2019, and his overall coaching record is 300 wins, 86 losses, and 2 ties. So I want to give Coach Reginald Samples some props out of Duncanville High School Panthers.
Yep,
And
sure.
that's a hard thing to do in high school football to win 300 games. I was going to ask you, Kennard, how hard is it to win 300 football games in high school?
Well, first of all, I think, if you're able to win 300 games in high school football, see, what a lot of folks don't get is you don't get to recruit your players for the most part.
Mm-mm.
You don't get to recruit your players. This is a culture. When you start to, you have good feet. I'm pretty sure he has a good feeder program,
Mm-hmm.
junior high football. And maybe now that you can kind of skew the lines of, maybe kind of finagle some addresses here and there to get you an elite player now. But for the most part, for a high school football team, you have to work with what you have.
Right.
And for a coach to be able to win 300 games over the span of time that he has done it, I think you mentioned that he's been at a couple of different schools, maybe.
Yeah. He was at Skyline for a few. He was at Dallas Skyline, I think, 10 years, and he was at Dallas Lincoln for 15 years, and he won a state championship there in 2004.
Right, and from what I can see of this, the state of Texas, that's why the SEC is starting to kind of ease over there.
I noticed that.
Have Demartrius Davis out of Houston. We got a few players out of the Dallas, Fort Worth area.
Mm-hmm.
It's some good players over there.
Mm-hmm.
It's some good players over there. It's some good players who, have pride in their program and they continue to, win on a high level. And this is definitely a feather in Samples' cap to be win 300 games in probably one of the most competitive environments, high school football wise, in the country. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the country has their eyes on Texas when it comes to recruiting. They have their eyes on California. They have their eyes on Florida. But they got their eyes definitely on Texas, and they have their eyes on the Dallas-Fort Worth area because historically, some of the best players in college football come out of that area. As a matter of fact, I can't think of his name, but he is a wide receiver for Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And he came out of Texas. Damn it, I can't think of his name. But either way, elite players there. Big shout out to Reginald Samples. 300 wins is not easy to get. I don't give a damn who you are.
Yeah, that's right. No matter what level. But high school is definitely difficult out there.
Are you?
Right.
So I really think that's a huge deal, and I hope he continues to have that impact on the kids because if you win 300 games, that means you're teaching something. You're developing these players to where they can not only maybe go to a Power 5 or whatever college football team they can go to, but
no, he wasn't from the Dallas area. Second son, Malcolm Kelly. No, that's back. Well, go ahead, Bernard.
What I'm saying is, a guy that has 300 wins, there's a lot of evidence that says he's developing kids on another level.
Mm-hmm.
So even after they leave high school football, they can go on to be lawyers and doctors and be very productive citizens because winning means a lot. Winning does a lot to you to where you have that confidence to where once you leave your high school walls, you're like, you know what? I've been winning all of this time. I'm going to win in subsequent life because I had a leader that showed me something more than what I saw in front of me.
We know he played for OU, bro. That's my brother, right? That's second son. We know that. So he gone now. But anyway, congratulations again, Coach Samples. Much respect and continued success. Now we're down to our final thoughts. Brother Kennard, final thoughts, bro. It's all what you got for me.
Well, I'll say this. I think the NFL is, getting started as far as, who's going to be some of the elite teams in the NFL. I really like Tampa Bay. I like where the Dallas Cowboys are headed. I used to be an Atlanta Falcons fan, but I like to protect my mental health. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, gotcha.
I can't be an Auburn fan and a Falcons fan. Also, as far as the college football trajectory at this point, Penn State now coming in at the number 6 team in the country. Alabama had a really tough stand down at Florida. Bryce Young is going to have to really figure out how he's going to play under pressure down the stretch. I think Georgia is the best team in the country right now. I also think that some of the SEC teams that are in the top 25, I'm not going to say that they're overrated, but when this stuff starts to really hit the fan, you're probably going to see some of them fade out, including your home state guys, Texas A&M. I think they're ready for that work. Yeah. Also, high school football, I think we definitely, really love how to see these guys go from where they are in high school and become elite athletes in college football. And guys like Samples with 300 wins out of the state of Texas, I mean, that's how you get it.
Yeah.
You got those pipelines to where that's how you get it. And definitely, my last thought is I'm thankful to be on your show tonight. I appreciate it.
No, I'm thankful that you're here, bro. And we got to talk because I want you to kind of see if we can make this a regular, so how we can work this out. I don't know how your Tuesdays are. Maybe every other Tuesday we can make this happen.
If you ain't scared, I ain't scared either.
All right. Well, we're going to make it happen. We'll see. My final thoughts is, fam, last night the Packers won over the Lions, but the bigger story was running back Aaron Jones, even though he had 4 touchdowns, over 115 total yards. He was wearing a necklace with his father's ashes in it.
Oh, my.
And he lost the necklace during the game, and they couldn't find it. Now, his father died earlier in this year in April from COVID at the age of 57.
Right.
This morning, he was on a radio show. One of the Lambeau Field groundsmen found his necklace. He has his ashes back. So my final thoughts is, man, I'm glad that necklace was to be found, Aaron Jones. We happy for that. But, bruh, maybe you shouldn't wear that during the game. I'm not trying to tell you how to honor your dad, but maybe you should just leave that in your locker.
Yeah, those
I don't know. Yeah.
Ornaments. You probably, like you said, if you're going to be, if you're going to do it from a sentimentality standpoint, put it in your locker to where you can rub on it before you go out. But don't wear it in the game to where you have the opportunity to possibly lose it, because that's something to be handled carefully.
Right. So he got it back. So we're glad for that. That's one of those special stories that people are gonna love to hear about it. So we done here. But before we get out of here, Kennard, tell people how they can find you. Tell them where you at.
All right. So down in the Deep South, the battle cry is War Eagle, and I want you to subscribe to my channel, Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn, where we talk about Auburn in almost a ridiculous fashion, and we do it almost every day. As a matter of fact, I might do one today. I kind of don't want to, but the bad part about it, one of the fans hit me up like, "Where you at? You hiding out because we lost?" No, I had to work. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But please subscribe to my channel, Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. Always love to be here. As a matter of fact, many of you all don't know, maybe you do. This panel is where I began. TFG. This is how I started as a sports analyst in social media. So I will always be forever grateful for that opportunity with Lamar and the staff there and the moderators and also the producers for giving me the opportunity to help me find out what my talent was. So I appreciate it.
Well, you know, I got much love for you, fam. And you got, like I said, we're gonna figure out how we can make this a regular thing. If it's not
Yes.
every Tuesday or every other Tuesday, we're gonna make it happen. All right.
Yes, sir.
We're good. Okay. Much love to your family. All right, folks. That's it for TFG Sports News tonight. I'm your sports host, Kendrick Henderson. And until next time, Tuesday, 6:30. Peace.
Peace.
That money clip us now, the new now looks like. Whoa, upgrade her diamonds, now her girlfriends are like. Whoa, I hit record a drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets.